Everybody says he's gonna get a look at Nessie at the Loch.
Down at the Loch.
But the monster's really got him 'cause she's hiding at the bottom of the Loch.
Down at the Loch.
So buy a plush stuffed doll and a monster carry-all and a poster for your wall from the souvenir stall at the Loch.
Down at the Loch.
Let's go to the Loch. Let's go to the Loch. Let's go to the Loch. Let's go to the Loch. We'll all go together to enjoy the lazy ride at the Loch. Everybody wants to get a picture of the monster at the Loch.
Down at the Loch.
But the mist is so pervasive and the monster is evasive at the Loch.
Down at the Loch.
So there's an Nessie show and a monster video, 'cause the shopkeepers know how to help you spend your dough at the Loch.
Down at the Loch.
Let's go to the Loch. Let's go to the Loch. Let's go to the Loch. Let's go to the Loch. We'll peer at the gloom from a nice expansive room at the Loch. Everybody thinks we ought to catch the monster in the water at the Loch.
Down at the Loch.
We've been in the murk working to discover what's been lurking at the Loch.
Down at the Loch.
But the tourists don't care if they pay an empty fare just to cruise around and stare at the thing that's never there at the Loch.
Down at the Loch.
Let's go to the Loch. Let's go to the Loch. Let's go to the Loch. Let's go to the Loch. Scenic Inverness takes American Express at the Loch. You can be a true believer, you can join the monster fever at the Loch.
Down at the Loch.
You can gaze at Nessie's features on a t-shirt of the creatures at the Loch.
Down at the Loch.
Buy a hologram and a jar of Nessie jam. Who gives a damn if it's just another scam at the Loch?
Down at the Loch.
Let's go to the Loch. Let's go to the Loch. Let's go to the Loch. Let's go to the Loch. Tip your new tweed cap to the clever tourist crowd at the Loch. Let's go to 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 the Loch. Tip your new tweed cap to the clever tourist crowd at the Loch. When I was but a child, I dreamed of dinosaurs. Walked among them, knew their secrets, knew their names. And I heard the stories told deep in the earth below. By day I searched for ancient bone dead beasts' remains. When I was but a child, I dreamed of galaxies. Flew among them, knew their secrets, knew their names. And I heard the stories told deep in the sky above. By night I searched for ancient light, dead stars' remains. From stardust we are born, to the dust of earth we go, and in between we seek and dream and try our best to know. And we know all things are changing, and that space and time are vast, as we peer in fascination through fragile mortal windows. We peer in fascination at these snapshots of the past. I am a scholar now. I study dinosaurs, analyze them, classify them, give them names. I wonder at their lives and how they came to be. foretell their deaths and plot their earthly course of change. I am a scholar now, I study galaxies, analyze them, quantify them, give them names. I wonder at their lives and how they came to be, foretell their deaths and plot their cosmic course of change. From stardust we are born, to the dust of earth we go, and in between we seek and dream and try our best to know. And we know all things are changing, and that space and time are vast, as we peer in fascination through fragile mortal windows. We peer in fascination at these snapshots of the past. The bones of dinosaurs lay strewn upon the earth, teeth, vertebrae, and skulls, chaotic strange. I build grand histories from pieces of the past, that just one fragment, yet unknown, might rearrange. The blood of galaxies rains down upon the earth, light particles and waves, chaotic strange. I build grand histories from pieces of the past, that just one fragment, yet unknown, might rearrange. From stardust we are born, to the dust of earth we go, and in between we seek and dream and try our best to know. And we know all things are changing, and that space and time are vast, as we peer in fascination through fragile mortal windows. We peer in fascination at these snapshots of the past. When I was but a child, I dreamed of dinosaur galaxies. When they call the roll up yonder, I'm sorry, but I ain't gonna go. Tell God if he should wonder that I'd rather take the rocky road. Hey Lord, you can have my soul, I only want an anaerobic hole where I can lie in peace and let the ages roll, enjoying petrifaction. We're resting in pieces, ignoring the call, in our own private version of Preservation Hall. Our lives were a disaster, they were always full of trouble and pain. So we passed our genes and we passed on to where we'll never have to worry again. Hey Lord, it's good to be dead, with all that sandstone over my head. Just me and my buddies in the old bone bed, enjoying petrifaction. We sink in the basins and rise to the heights, and get carried along on those continental flights. Now heaven is a high place, but I'm just as glad that I was laid low. I wouldn't trade off my place for 100 pearly gates in a row. Hey Lord, we might have been dust, but the rocks of ages cleft for us, and now we're fossiliferous thanks to petrifaction. Hey Lord, we're glad we died in a place where we could be petrified. So please don't brush these bones aside, 'cause we've got petrifaction. We got petrifaction. We got petrifaction. Petrifaction. Across the herd he sighted her splendid curves.
She had curves.
A thrill ran down all 70 feet of his saurian nerves. He was smitten, and 30 tons of hot-blooded male went chasing 17 tons of tail. The earth moves, the Brontosaurs fall in love. He trotted to her side and nuzzled her cheek. Ooh. She glanced up, looked deep in his eyes, and it made her knees weak. First they rubbed and pranced in their ecstasy,
Carefully.
and then they got excited and leveled a whole stand of trees. How they courted next, twined tails lashed, those huge bodies swayed, and lesser beasts got out of the way. It's like D-Day when Brontosaurs fall in love. They reared on their hind legs and met thigh to thigh, and made each other dizzy. Love it 8 stories high. Soon his lust had grown much too big to hide.
High and wide.
Bucking Brontos gave one another a glorious ride. And then they moaned and shuddered as one, and that is how they knew they were done. Big things come when Brontosaurs fall in love. Passion spent, they tumbled down in a pile.
Thud.
Dinah snoring sweet duets you could hear for miles. As they sleep, her belly begins to swell.
Who could tell?
Bronto babies growing, each one with its leathery shell. They're such tiny, so soon those eggs will warm in the sand. It's part of nature's layaway plan. It's exciting when Brontosaurs fall in love. It's exhausting when Brontosaurs fall in love. And of course, it's X-rated when Brontosaurs fall in love. Taxonomists are classic. You can tell by how they speak. They calls them as they sees them, but in Latin or in Greek. They earn their bread by naming things that we cannot pronounce. And they use a ton of syllables, but logic they use by the ounce. And you know those laws of nomenclature are inflexible and strict, and it doesn't matter whether you agree. But you name the critter first, whether better, bad, or worst is gonna live in perpetuity. Still, I'd rather call it Brontosaur, 'cause our patasaurs are so appoint with me. O.C. Marsh was a collector and taxonomist of yore. He wrote his zillion papers and he named things by the score. He found some flattened pieces of an unknown sauropod, and he named the bones a patasaur because he found them cryptic and odd. But in the race to publish, Marsh forgot about his find. Those bones were not spectacular, and so they slipped his mind. He was the P.T. Barnum of paleontology, and he wanted size and splendor, not a fragmentary pile of debris. But you know those laws of nomenclature are inflexible and strict, and it doesn't matter whether you agree. But you name the critter first, whether better, bad, or worst is gonna live in perpetuity. Still, I wish he called it Brontosaur, 'cause our Brontosaurs are sore point with me. Soon this enterprising showman found another giant sore. A lot more bones were present than had been described before. He thought this beast was different, so he gave it a brand new name that would live in song and story and ensure his monster's glory and fame. Mars called it Brontosaurus, reptilian thunder beast. And the name caught people's fancy from the west coast to the east. Evocative, appropriate, and it was easy to recall. It evoked a sense of wonder and was wonderfully logical. But Bronto and Apato both described the same remains. But Apatosaur was published first and therefore still pertains. It means deceptive reptile, meaning hard to understand. Though the beast was as deceptive as a concert baby grand. And you know those laws of nomenclature are inflexible and strict, and it doesn't matter whether you agree. What you name the critter first, whether better, bad, or worst, is gonna live in perpetuity. Still, I'd rather call it Brontosaur, 'cause our Brontosaurs are sore point with me. Though anarchy in naming always leads to toxic waste, I'm gonna make a personal exception in this case. I'll call it Brontosaurus, and to hell with priority. I can keep my sense of wonder, and the beast can keep its dignity. The name police are coming with their nomenclature tones, full of long moronic names assigned by taxonomic gnomes. They'll be Brontosize our school books, museums, classrooms, toys, and TV. But I'll never use a Brontosaur, no matter how they natter at me. Even though those laws of nomenclature are inflexible and strict, and it doesn't matter whether you agree. What you name the critter first, whether better, bad, or worst, is gonna live in perpetuity. Still, I'm gonna call it Brontosaur, 'cause our Brontosaurs are sore point with me.
Backbone, 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 backbone.
See that fish and the mockingbird, to call them alike would be absurd, but there's a likeness deep within, makes them nearly kiss and kin. They've got a
backbone, 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 backbone.
They say the twain will never meet, twixt things that croak and things that bleed, but lo and behold, the twain do twine. Both of these critters have a spine. They've got a
backbone, 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 backbone.
Gink's got scales, mink's got hair, crow's got feathers, frogs are bare, but beneath the skin where none can see, they've all got lots of vertebrae. They've got a
backbone, 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 backbone.
Tell me if you can, if a snake is like an orangutan. Well, they're practically brothers, 'cause I've found snake is just a big worm wrapped around a skinny
backbone, 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 backbone. backbone, backbone.
Sprats and bats and cats and moles, they swim, stalk, fly, and live in holes. But who cares if they flap or stride? 'Cause everyone deep down inside has got a
backbone, 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 backbone.
Of kinship there's no evidence in hummingbirds and elephants, unless of course you realize that vertebrates of any size must have a
backbone, 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 backbone.
Listen to what I'm telling you about what you're related to. Amphibia, reptilia, Pisces and Mammalia. Though you haven't any feather scales but feet or a tail, you got a
backbone, 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 back.
Isn't it neat? You're among the elite who have a backbone. Yeah. The scientist sits at his sonar and he's scanning the lake for a sign. His grants have run out, his future's in doubt, and Nessie he never did find. He squints at the far-off horizon and he stares at the murk below. 3 years it would seem he's been chasing a dream, but he'd much rather die than not know.
Nessie, come up, I'm waiting. I've waited for you so long. If you exist, come out of the mist and prove that the doubters are wrong. Awake from your sleep, rise out of the deep. My faith and belief are strong. Ah, Nessie, I've waited so, waited so, waited so. Nessie, I've waited so long.
The tourist leans over the railing with her field glass and camera in hand. She's come all the way from Pittsburgh, PA, but Nessie don't come on command. She spent all that money she hoarded, and she stayed over long at Loch Ness. But she can't say goodbye, there's a tear in her eye, and she'll never abandon her quest. Nessie, come up, I'm waiting. I've waited for you so long. If you exist, come out of the mist and prove that the doubters are wrong. Awake from your sleep, rise out of the deep. My faith and belief are strong. Ah, Nessie, I've waited so, waited so, waited so. Nessie, I've waited so long. The tabloid reporter came scouting for scandal, sensation, and dirt. Like Nessie eats child or monster goes wild, 6 boats overturned, no one hurt. But the magical Loch has seduced him. At its shimmering surface he stares. He can no longer write of the sordid and trite. His thoughts run to deeper affairs.
Nessie, come up, I'm waiting. I've waited for you so long. If you exist, come out of the mist and prove that the doubters are wrong. Awake from your sleep, rise out of the deep. My faith and belief are strong. Ah, Nessie, I've waited so, waited so, waited so. Nessie, I've waited so long.
The lady who started the gift shop counts the money the tourists have paid. She sells for a fee what they came here to see, and at 30 her fortune is made. But daily she stops by the lakeside in and out of the way little place, saying, Nessie, my love, if you're ever above, I'd like to say thanks to your face.
Nessie, come up, I'm waiting. I've waited for you so long. If you exist, come out of the mist and prove that the doubters are wrong. Awake from your sleep, rise out of the deep. My faith and belief are strong. Ah, Nessie, I've waited so, waited so, waited so. Nessie, I've waited so long.
A blind piper came to the lakeside, and he sat on his favorite rock. He started to play as he did every day, and it echoed out over the loch. 12 Nessies rose out of the water, necks swaying in time to the beat. What Scot isn't stirred when the piping is heard, and he played 'em this melody sweet.
Nessie, come up, I'm waiting. I've waited for you so long. If you exist, come out of the mist and prove that the doubters are wrong. Awake from your sleep, rise out of the deep. My faith and belief are strong. Ah, Nessie, I've waited so, waited so, waited so. Nessie, I've waited so long.
It's spring in the Cretaceous, and my, oh my, the dinosaurs are riding on a pheromone high. They're dating and mating and carrying on, courting and cavorting till the daylight is gone. And out from the trees comes a blood-chilling howl. You know it's sexy Rexy, and she's out on the prowl. She's a rapacious, voracious sex machine. She'll steal your heart, devour it, and pick your bones clean. Sexy Rexy. Sexy Rexy. You know she's gonna insist. Sexy Rexy. You know it's useless to resist. 'Cause when the predatory female is determined to breed, does no good to hide, run, reason, or plead. She's gonna satisfy that tyrannical need. Sexy Rexy. She's got 6-inch teeth and carrion breath, thunderous thighs that'll love you to death. She'll stalk you and lock you into her spell. Is she horny or hungry? It's too late to tell. Just court her, don't tease her, appease her just right, and hope that you have whetted the correct appetite. She's a rapacious, voracious sex machine. When she's after your body, are you mate or cuisine for Sexy Rexy? Sexy Rexy. You know she's gonna insist. Sexy Rexy. You know it's useless to resist. 'Cause when the predatory female is determined to breed, does no good to hide, run, reason, or plead. She's gonna satisfy that tyrannical need. Sexy Rexy. She's a deep-throated dino with consuming desire for a hot-blooded Rex who can put out the fire. So if she spies you, eyes you, and goes on the mate, first date her and sate her, then bring her a steak and get out of her sight. Don't approach her again, 'cause once she's been laid, there's just one use for men. She's a rapacious, voracious sex machine, but she likes to eat her partners, if you know what I mean. Sexy Rexy. Sexy Rexy. You know she's gonna insist. Sexy Rexy. You know it's useless to resist. 'Cause when a predatory female is determined to breed, does no good to hide, run, reason, or plead. She's gonna satisfy that tyrannical need. Sexy Rexy. Sexy Rexy. Sexy Rexy. Look out! Quoth the hagfish to the lamprey through his viscid cloak of slime.
We have sucked the blood of the bony one since the Pennsylvanian time. But we are so very primitive, degenerate and low. How is it that we've lived so long yet have so far to go?
Quoth the lamprey to the hagfish as he stirred his brain to thought. We're so thoroughly disgusting that we're thrown back when we're caught. No one dares to eat us, though our flesh be sweet and rich, since we brave the degradation of the parasitic niche. And all the world is an ocean when you're living in the sea. There are lots of liquid assets and your room and board is free. There are no stars to beckon you, no empires yet to be. For the world is just an ocean when you're living in the sea. We were not blessed with biting jaws, yet we can taste of blood. Not like our poor progenitors who mumbled in the mud. We did our best with what we had and became what we must be. Now we cling to lives and we suck them dry. A tasty destiny. Quoth the hagfish to the lamprey, with his lip to sneering curled.
Why not use this ancient prowess then to be masters of the world?
The lamprey merely shook his head, and he offered this reply in the song once sung in the rasping tongue of lampreys long gone by. All the world is an ocean when you're living in the sea. There are lots of liquid assets and your room and board is free. There are no stars to beckon you, no empires yet to be. For the world is just an ocean when you're living in the sea. Dinosaurs are active by day. We at night stay out of their way, too small to see. We hide in trees or deep in the ground, alert to each sound, seeking insects in the debris. Fearsome opportunists are we, evolving and solving the problems we face. Hey, we're staying alive, try our best to survive, reproduce and thrive, continue the race. Huge and mighty Brontosaurs dominate the daylight hours, stomp and tromp and romp upon the plains. Then the sun goes down, micro-mammals smart and sly, on our ears and nose rely, scurry, quick and furry, ever curious and bright, denizens of the night. And while the vaunted Brontosaurs lie snoring in repose, we pick them clean of parasites, from tip of tail to tip of nose, and in between all their toes. Dinosaurs are active by day. We at night stay out of their way. We hide and sleep in burrows deep until darkness falls and carrion calls. Sniff the air for scent of fresh meat. Dino back ribs all we can eat. We feed when we need to and take what we will. Chew the bones of the slain. Eat what raptors disdain. Nothing shall remain. A carnosaur's kill. Terrible tyrannosaurs, bearing awesome claws and jaws, stalk and slay and prey on those who stray. Then the sun goes down, micro-mammals patient poised, never make the slightest noise, swarming from our tunnels, running, cunning, swift and sleek, to play gourmet hide and seek. And when the grand tyrannosaur decides it's time to snooze, we'll eat the meat caught in his teeth. It feeds about 6 dozen shrews and doesn't have to be chewed. Dinosaurs are active by day. We at night stay out of their way. We watch and wait until it's late, and dinosaurs doze while they're indisposed. We are busy under their feet, cleaning up what they didn't eat, the plants that remain after grazing tonight, sampled, trampled, and mashed, haul them home to be stashed, make a heady hash when rations are tight. Scary old triceratops with their Vegematic chops munch and crunch and lunch their day away. Then the sun goes down, micro-mammals silent creep, wait till sated giants sleep, scoot-a-loot the booty that the brutes use as food for their newly hatched brood. When Mother Ceratopsian flops down to take her ease, we poach the best eggs from her nest, ingest as many as we please, then scramble back to the trees. Dinosaurs are active by day. We at night stay out of their way. But if the sky should fall and all the dinosaurs die, the mammal shall rise, opportunists seizing the day. Some to predate, some to be prey. Behold what unfolds from the lowliest shrew. New mutations combine, teeth and jaws realign, stretch our genes, define the food chain anew. Men of science finally found the great solution to life. They all agree it's evolution. But these Nobel folk are still a bit downhearted, 'cause no one knows just how the whole thing started. La la la, la 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 la. Was it instant? Was it fast? Did it happen with a crash? Was it super and stupendous and magnificently brash? Was there uproar, noise and din? Did the earth cave in? Oh, how did life begin? Was it done with purpose and intent? Or was it just a lucky accident? Was it day or was it night? Was it blessing, bane, or blight? Did it happen 7,000 times before they got it right? Was it normal or surreal? Was it no big deal? Oh, how did life begin? Did self-catalyzers win the day? Or did God just sit there knitting DNA? Was it subtle, sly, or grim? Was it simply nature's whim? Were there choruses of angels and a host of cherubim? Was there lightning, calm, and storm? Was it cold or warm? Oh, how did life begin? Was there struggle, chaos, war, and strife? Or did God just go, bing, and there was life? Or was it done with style or grace? Was it wholly out of place? Did it hitchhike on a tektide or come hurtling from space? Did it simply have to be in that ancient sea? Oh, how did life begin? Did predestined molecules collide? Or did life just come along for the ride? Yippee! Was it scummy? Was it soup? Did it happen in a group? Was it stringy, slimy, mangy, or entangled in a loop? Did it float, suspend, or sink? Did it glow or stink? Ew. Oh, how did life begin? Did coacervates link up and spread? Or did chance encounters do the trick instead?
Come here often.
Was it busy or sedate? Was it done in triplicate? Did it happen so theology and science could debate? We're too late to catch the show, so we'll never know. Oh, how did living matter rise from inorganic matter? Tell me, how did life begin? Who owns the bones that have lain so long, rocked in a deep, slow cradle of stone? Who owns the bones that tell the tale of a fearsome beast and a line that failed? Who owns the bones? Who owns the bones? Who owns the bones? Who owns the bones? The government stole it from the red men, then lent it back for them to live on. Indians and fossils are always found on hostile land. The red men leased it to some white men who built their ranches and their fences and invited private fossil hunters in to try their hand. Black Hills Institute unearthed a fossil of great worth, a fine T-Rex they excavated at a huge expense. Since Sue Hendrickson had found that fossil buried in the ground, they named it Sue, and that's what everybody's called it since. But who owns the bones that have lain so long, rocked in a deep, slow cradle of stone? Who owns the bones that tell the tale of a fearsome beast and a line that failed? Who owns the bones? Who owns the bones? Who owns the bones? Who owns the bones? The fossil crew began their digging in the sandstone bed where Sue had slumbered, knowing that the Japanese had several million to pay. But the Sioux belatedly discovered that their land had once again been plundered, and the Sioux laid claim to Sue. They wanted her to put on display. Black Hills Institute declared that the T-Rex they prepared was theirs because they found it, bound it, and preserved it intact. We did all the work, they said, removed the fossil from its bed, but the Sioux eschewed the claim, for they'd caught the poachers in the act. So who owns the bones that have lain so long, rocked in a deep, slow cradle of stone? Who owns the bones that tell the tale of a fearsome beast and a line that failed? Who owns the bones? Who owns the bones? Who owns the bones? Who owns the bones? The government took a sudden interest
at the fossil's scientific value, sent in the National Guard to take the precious pieces away. Accused the company of grand theft, took all the pieces, packed them, and left. Yeah, the feds shooed the crew, screwed the Sioux, and sued for Sioux on that day. Black Hills Institute objected that the fossils they detected was theirs because they'd seen it, freed it, and then paid the price. But the government was clear, when you find a thing of value here, it's our land, please understand, and we don't even have to be nice. So who owns the bones that have lain so long, rocked in a deep, slow cradle of stone? Who owns the bones that tell the tale of a fearsome beast and a line that failed? Who owns the bones? Who owns the bones? Who owns the bones? Who owns the bones? Now the feds are punishing the pirates who pillaged fossils for a profit and succeeded at a task that only academics should try. And poor T-Rex languishes decaying in the hot, damp vault where she is laying. She crumbles into dust as plods and years go by. Black Hills Institute has seen all those bones they saved and cleaned, taken and mistakenly placed into a crate to rot. When it all comes down to greed, neither indigence or need can hope to hold their own when they're up against a government plot. No, you can never win when you're digging up a government plot. So who owns the bones that have lain so long, rocked in a deep, slow cradle of stone? Who owns the bones that tell the tale of a fearsome beast and a line that failed? Who owns the bones? 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 I was an earned out, burned out yuppie freak, and I needed some cheap recreation. So I went to Loch Ness to get me some rest on a monster observing vacation. We all were aware Nessie couldn't be there, but we eagerly watched from the ship's deck. We'd been cruising the shore for an hour or more when we spotted a head and a long neck. Then out of the gloom the monster rose. It was crooning a tune and striking a pose. It had a duck's ass haircut and black leather skin, sang "Don't Be Cruel" over Loch Ness with those pearly white teeth and that lopsided grin. Everyone knew it was Elvis, Elvis, Elvis. We knew it was him all along. All of my dreams fell apart at the seams when I found out that Star Trek was fiction. So I gazed at the stars with my mind behind bars, and I needed another addiction. Then I saw on the news where a starship and crew had descended on Washington, D.C. It was parked on the lawn, and the whole Pentagon had arrived with its nukes at the ready. Then a being came out and started to sing, "Ain't nothing but a hound dog flying this thing." It was a big green man with a steel-strung guitar, wailing the blues for the top brass. It was moving its hips in time to its lips, and everyone saw it was Elvis, Elvis, Elvis. We hoped it was him all along. I went down to Lord 'cause I couldn't afford to be cured of my fatal diseases. Though I've been born again and again and again, I found it, but I never found Jesus. Now here in the swarm of the faithful, his mom was supposed to put in an appearance to wash away sin, make us healthy and thin, and give us all heavenly clearance. As
As we knelt in the grotto, we saw a faint glow. It stretched out its hand and said, "Go, cat, go!" Our Lady of Lord was wearing blue suede shoes. There were rhinestones and studs on her tight vest. She said, "This ain't hell, this is Heartbreak Hotel." We were healed and we knew it was Elvis. Elvis, Elvis. We prayed it was him all along. I'm a hard-headed woman, but I was all shook up. When the king sang surrender, I felt bliss. If you love me tender, you'll return to sender. Hey, it's now or never, sang Elvis. Elvis, Elvis. And I was redeemed by his song. I knew it was him all along. All in a line, marching through time, millions of species strong, doing our best, adapting to stress and passing our genes along. Phylogenies growing like trees out of each missing link. Except for a few in an epoch or two, we'll all become extinct. As scientists, our duty is to classify, so we scrutinize each fragment, shell, and bone. But a real taxonomist is never satisfied till he names 10 dozen species of his own. Each group grows by half with each published monograph. Oh, all in a line, marching through time, millions of species strong, doing our best, adapting to stress and passing our genes along. Phylogenies growing like trees out of each missing link. And except for a few in an epoch or two, we'll all become extinct. When all that's found is bits of teeth and maxillae, we quibble over which engendered which. And thus we can derive mammalian ancestry from 2 molars copulating in the ditch. Our research will define which cusp begat which line. Oh, all in a line, marching through time, millions of species strong, doing our best, adapting to stress and passing our genes along. Phylogenies growing like trees out of each missing link. And except for a few in an epoch or two, we'll all become extinct. When we find a flattened, mangled mess of bone remains, we reconstruct the creature in detail. Dimensions, eyeballs, muscle masses, guts, and brains, and the microcolor pattern on each scale. Then we grin, 'cause we know you can't prove it wasn't so. Oh, all in a line, marching through time, millions of species strong, doing our best, adapting to stress and passing our genes along. Phylogenies growing like trees out of each missing link. And except for a few in an epoch or two, we'll all become extinct. Just ask the folks who study paleobotany. They'll tell you fossil plants are just a game. You find the bark, stem, leaves, and seeds from one big tree, but you give each one a different family name. 'Cause the parts come from slates that are found in different states. Oh, all in a line, marching through time, millions of species strong, doing our best, adapting to stress and passing our genes along. Phylogenies growing like trees out of each missing link. And except for a few in an epoch or two, we'll all become extinct. When drawing Homo sapiens phylogeny, in anthro we are backward in our thought. We carefully construct a detailed family tree back to ancestors whose bones we haven't got. So we dig, and we look, and we write another book. Oh, all in a line, marching through time, millions of species strong, doing our best, adapting to stress and passing our genes along. Phylogenies growing like trees out of each missing link. And except for a few in an epoch or two, we'll all become extinct.